Is about HEC US Knowledge Corridor Scholarship. I am arranging this session completely personal. There's nothing to do with HEC, any US university, or any organization. So, why I'm doing this session? I'm doing this session just because I know a lot of friends who can actually get this scholarship. I've been getting this scholarship is much more easier than the normal scholarships we know of. I don't want to take any names, but this is, I mean, there's not a lot of competition involved because this is a much demanding scholarship. And I got this scholarship as soon as I finished my master's because I always knew that I have to move towards a doctorate degree, and I always knew that from which university I want to do it, which program I want to do it, and I also had my GRE, TOEFL, and professor contacts as well. So it's not always necessary that you be ready for that, and of course it takes time. But this scholarship is comparatively much more easier to get. So let's start with the introduction. Okay, this is a PhD scholarship. This is not for masters. This is a straightforward scholarship for the PhD studies from US universities. And the second most important thing which I highly appreciate about this scholarship, it is that you can apply directly after your bachelor's degrees. Okay, so if you have a bachelor's, you can so everybody knows like it's possible to do PhD right after your bachelor's from US, particularly like US and other countries are moving towards it as well. So we can do that, and this scholarship, which is a HEC scholarship, and it's very, even though when I got to know about this, it was very shocking for me that this scholarship supports it, and it's kind of a very good trend that we can do it. So this scholarship pays okay, so there is just a little thing that this scholarship does not pay for our tuition fee at the US universities if the university is not in the top 300 US universities. But most of the university you see in the US would come, I mean, the university that are in the list of HEC universities comes under the top 300, and there is a list of HEC universities that there only which you can apply, but there are 235 universities that you are going to try your chance for. This will give you, okay, let me just okay, this is scholarship. Obviously, first of all, it gives you support. I mean, it gives you support in terms of application fee waiver. So for example, US universities, apart from all of the letters and recommendation letters, motivation letters, essays, GRE, TOEFL, even after that you need to apply an application fee, which is ranging from $95 to $125 that I've seen. So $95, of course, for us people is quite a big amount. So if you're applying through this HEC scholarship, you get a waiver. I mean, for most of the universities. So for HEC, there are two categories. I mean, there is the list of universities that you are eligible to apply for, and then there are 8 universities which have MOU signed with HEC. That, for example, whoever student is coming under this scholarship, we will not definitely, but we will give him or her the support for the application. If he is a good candidate, he definitely gets in through, and the application fee is waived. So with this is a very big motivation to apply for. I mean, you directly apply for US universities and you don't have to pay the application fee. And then you have the application support. So application support, I mean, see, if you're applying for a US universities, regardless of this scholarship, your application is considered as any other international application, and obviously you have to stand up to the mark. But comparatively, if you're applying through this scholarship, you mention somewhere in your application, for example, there are reference codes required, or you can even mention in your essay that I'm applying through this scholarship. There are much more chances of getting this scholarship, getting the admission at the US university. And if you're applying at the top, I mean, the universities that have MOU with the HEC, there are even more chances of getting this scholarship and admission as well. So the key is, this scholarship is not an admission. The admission process is a completely different process from this scholarship. You apply individually for the scholarship, and you apply individually for the maximum number of US universities that you can possibly try for. But again, it's expensive to apply, because apart from the tuition fee, you will eventually have to pay the TOEFL, the GRE, the official standing scores to them, and it involves a lot of hustle and expenses. Okay, again, but I would call them these expenses as investment in our future, of course. So you get the application fee waiver by HEC, a support in the form of everything, like you just mentioned the name of HEC, and your chances of getting the scholarship and admission increases. And then of course you have a contact person in between. I mean, so if in most of the cases the contact person is a Pakistani, for example in University of Houston, Texas, there the contact person is Pakistani, and in majority of the cases, even if they when they are Muslims and Pakistani, they are obviously, I don't want to say anything nationalist or anything, but again, of course, if they see a Pakistani coming there, they will support your application by contacts and by anything if you are good enough. Okay, then what else does HEC pay? HEC gives us the notion of, okay, and then HEC gives us the 1000. Okay, this is for 4 to 5 years. We all know that it's not easy to do a PhD degree from US. It takes like 4, 5, and maybe 6 years, but this scholarship is for 5 years. So I'll just start with the motivation, like what amount you're gonna get through this scholarship. You'll get a $1000 settling in fee each year, and then you get the health insurance. So whatever amount of the health insurance is, you're gonna get that, and then you're gonna get around $1500 something per month for your expenses of the housing, expenses of the housing and the food and stuff. So 1500 seems it's maybe lesser than the Fulbright and other scholarships. I don't know what they are getting, but at my university, the other TAs that are funded by the university, they get 1600. So it's a little smaller, and it again in US it varies from state to state. For example, if you go to New York, obviously it's much lesser, and because New York is expensive. But for example, my university is in Delaware, so 1500. When I check the expenses and stuff, and I talk to students there, to me 1500 is quite sufficient to make a living for myself alone. So if you're trying to bring your family, that's another whole story. You get the health insurance, and you get a one-time return air ticket. So you can use it when you go and when you come back after completing your PhD, and that amount should not exceed to 2.5 lakhs. So together, return ticket is that. So now let's come to what are the categories in this scholarship. So this scholarship has been changing over the time, and this scholarship refreshes every year in February, and of course they changed their terms and conditions. When I applied, there were not any categories, and there were just the category that you must have a tuition fee waiver, otherwise you're not going to get this scholarship. But this time, when I was preparing for this session, HEC has changed a lot. And HEC has changed it in terms of categories. So previously there was just one category that you have to have the tuition fee waiver, and now there are two categories. The one category is of course that you need to have tuition fee waiver. So for example, you get the admission, but since admission is not enough for this scholarship, then you need to have a tuition fee waiver. And interestingly, there is a second category now. The second category is if you have admission and you don't have tuition fee waiver, but if that university is in top 300 QS universities, you even get this scholarship even if you do not have the tuition fee waiver, which is like another this option was not available when I applied for this scholarship back in 2018 something. Okay, so this is really interesting. Okay, now I'm in the title here, I mean in the caption here, I've shared the list of universities enrolled in this scholarship. So there are 235 universities that you can apply for this scholarship. It's not necessary that all of these 235 comes in the top 300 again. So if there are universities that come into top 300, you can apply without tuition fee waiver. But if you want to apply for tuition fee waiver, you have to apply in the 235 universities that comes under the HEC list. But I would recommend you to apply, try first for the 8 universities that HEC has MOU with. The benefit for applying at these 8 universities is that you get much more support, and obviously much more support gives you much more chances of getting the admission. We'll come to that at the later stage. Okay, so maybe we can discuss about the eligibility criteria for this scholarship. Is very simple. You just need to be a Pakistani national, and you don't need anything else. Okay, so age is the criteria. If you are a public sector official, your age should be not more than 40. If you're not a public sector official, your age should be not more than 35, which is quite simple. And then and the eligibility criteria in terms of academics, you need only 4 years of your, the total 16 years in education, not the 18 years. This should be noted. The 16 years education is required for this scholarship. And then then there is no third division required. This is very basic, and not less than 50% in the career, which is quite simple. If you're looking for PhD, of course you must have it. I hope it. Okay, so we'll come to the 8 universities that have MOU with the HEC, and that's quite amazing to apply for, because I have personal experience of applying to these universities. And even when I got this scholarship in 2019, I applied for my other family members, my brother, sister, of course everyone. This is a jackpot, I would say. So the scholarships are, first of all, University of Houston. Because I have done detailed research on these universities, and I have these documents, so I'm just sharing it with you. University of Houston is not ranked quite good. It's 176 as compared to the rest of 7 universities, but the acceptance rate is really high. It's 62%, and they give you the fee waiver. Their application fee is $95 something. But if you mention that you have this scholarship, then you get the tuition fee waiver. Then is the University of Delaware, which is my university. It's ranked 97, and the acceptance rate is 66, which is quite good. And then you get the fees waiver. So when I applied for this scholarship, I did not pay my fee, and I just write to my contact person that I'm applying through HEC. So he waived my fee, and I was in. The acceptance rate was high, when I applied, I did not need a professor's contact, so it was much more easier for me to get the scholarship, and I simply got the scholarship within a time frame of 1 month something. I didn't even wait for it. And then there's University of Georgia. University of Georgia is ranked high. It's 47th, and the acceptance rate is low, 46, because it's a good university. Better than Delaware, yeah. But they do not give you the tuition fee. I recently know some of my friends are going to Georgia, but they had to pay a tuition fee of not the tuition, but the application fee of $100. So if you can pay, this is a very good university. You must apply it. Then is the Ohio University. This is recently included in this list. It's ranked 176. The acceptance rate is 82, and I do not know about they give the application fee waiver or not, because I don't have the experience of applying there. Then is the Northeastern University. Northeastern University is a quality university. It's ranked quite high, 49th, and the acceptance rate is not good. It's less than 20%. I applied for someone, but we got the application fee waiver, but we couldn't get in because this is quite a competitive university. Then is South Dakota and North Dakota University. These are ranked after 250 something, but the acceptance rate is quite high. Acceptance rate is close to 90%. So these are the universities you're looking for. For acceptance rate closer to 90%, even if I have to pay the tuition fee, the application fee, I would pay it, because the acceptance rate is really high. But again, obviously, when the acceptance rate is high, the ranking is low. But lower ranking, obviously, this is a US university, so we can do that. Excuse me. Then the last university is Boyce University, which is ranked 298, and the acceptance rate is close to 80% again. So it's the game of numbers. So see, when the acceptance rate is low, when the acceptance rate is low, the rank is obviously high, and then it's vice versa again. So it's we have to play considerately, because see, you have to choose your universities, I mean top 3, top 4 at the most, I mean, because applying at these universities is quite a task. It's not just you open the application and you complete it, because we belong to Pakistan, and we know how difficult is that to get 3 recommendation letters, and how difficult it is to send our official TOEFL scores, because it's not less than 5,000. So each time we apply, we have to go through a lot. So we must decide first of all the what universities we are applying. And so now we should know of our priorities, that we want to go to the high rank universities, or acceptance rate is more important for us. For me, I honestly speaking, I am not a person who sees the ranking of this, and neither did I see the acceptance rates before applying, and before when I was preparing for the session. But obviously acceptance rate matters a lot. For example, I did a really lot of hard work for someone applying for the Northeastern University, because Northeastern University is a very good university, but we could not get in. So later I realized the acceptance rate was less than 20%, and my Delaware University's acceptance rate was 66%. So it's a very big difference. And I realized maybe I should have known it earlier, because for Northeastern, obviously I did my expenses, I had to involve a lot of energy to send the recommendations, to send my TOEFL score, to send the GRE and everything, and which all went in the West. I mean, I know my scores, I know my GPA, I know what kind of candidate I am, where do I stand. So it's useless to apply. I mean, if I think I cannot go to MIT if I can't make it, so I mean, why waste my resources for that? But the thing with Delaware was that they have the kind of program that I wanted to do, and I tried applying for Delaware when I was trying to go for my master's, but I couldn't get in at that time, and there wasn't a very good scholarship at that time going to Delaware. So I didn't get it, I didn't go, and I continued my master's here in Pakistan. Later I applied for the same program for my PhD studies, and I just got in. But the thing is, see, I knew about the program, the degree for years, and I knew that I need what kind of GRE I need, what kind of TOEFL scores I need. I prepared for it, I got for it, regardless of how many times I had to take the test. Yeah, that involved expenses, but I ended up where I wanted to be. It involved time. Yeah, COVID is making it delay, but it will work out. So but I have the admission and scholarship, of course. So this is scholarship applying for the, okay, so we'll talk about in 2 different phases. First applying for the scholarships, and then applying for the universities itself. Applying for the scholarship is very easy. This scholarship is not closed at any time. This is open all year round. You can apply at any time, but it works in this way. For example, this opens in February, and from February onwards you can apply for the fall same year or the spring next year. But then if you fail to get a tuition fee waived admission, or the admission otherwise, then you have to, throughout the year, then you have to again apply for the February start. For example, if we consider now is about, we are going to reach December, so it's maybe it's better to apply after February, because it will reopen. I mean, HEC is collecting the candidates, but then again it refreshes their candidates in February. So in case if there are some students who have the an admission at US, which is in top 300 universities, or you have an admission with the tuition fee waived, you can, of course, you can apply with HEC and you will get this scholarship. Why I'm being so certain about this scholarship? Because see, they have to reach a number of 10,000, and 10,000 is a very huge number. I don't even think so. See, when we see how many candidates actually apply for Fulbright, they are in like hundreds. I mean, not more than 1,500. Maybe, yeah, there were candidates more than thousands this year, because this year GRE was waived. But when GRE comes in the ground, there are not much candidates in Pakistan. So 10,000 is a very big number. So whoever has that GRE, TOEFL, that potential, that passion is going to get this scholarship eventually. Okay, so first thing first, you have to make your HEC profile. HEC profile is the very basic thing required for this scholarship. It's very simple, it's not that difficult. It's like any other pro forma we fill these days. It's like contact information, biographic, education, employment stuff. First, you make that profile on the HEC, which activates with your NIC number, and then you fill for this scholarship. You go for HEC US Knowledge Corridor scholarship, and that form, that application is very simple. You just need a 2,000 word essay with 2,000 words. I mean 2,000 characteristics essay, which is close to 700 words something. And you don't even need recommendation. You can mention if you have GRE. It's not a big worry if you don't have. You can mention again for the TOEFL, but the last section is important of that form with the HEC, which requires and which asks if you have the contact or admission with the US university or not. So it's not very tricky. You can write if you have admission, if you have the contact, but if you don't have, it's not a very big deal. You can just say TBA, to be done at letter. This will not, I mean, put any impact on your scholarship, because if you will get a call from HEC when you have the tuition fee waived admission, or an admission like, okay, let's we say that you have an admission at USA. HEC will only then call you. So once you let the HEC officials know that you have admission at US university, which you have to do completely on your own. I mean, HEC will not help you with GRE, TOEFL, sending these scores, or writing recommendation for you. HEC is not bound to do anything for that. HEC can only help you for waiving this the application fee. So this is why I recommend applying for the HEC scholarship first. They will come in contact with you and ask if you have the admission or not, and then it's also possible that based on your profile they recommend you 3 universities. For example, my brother, when I applied for him, HEC recommended us that these are the 3 universities that you must apply, and then we applied for it, and then eventually it works out. But my case was opposite. I had the admission first, and then I contacted HEC. HEC helped me a lot, and everything was done in a very well manner. So then you write on that, and you eventually you submit your HEC application. So HEC will further process your application once you have admission in US. So now you must start working on your US universities application. There is a list of 235 universities where you can get this scholarship, and you can apply at the top 300 QS ranked universities. And of course, I recommend personally to apply for the ED universities that are under MOU with the HEC, because there is a lot more chances of getting this scholarship actually. Now let's discuss about what do we need for applying at a US universities and how to search it. Okay, searching part is ended. I mean, there are 235 universities, and if you have done masters or you know about your field, you've been working on your essays, you know what kind of professors, what kind of state, and what kind of university you want to go, and keep that in mind that expenses in each state in universities are in US universities are different. So you probably want to go to a cheaper state, for example Delaware, because you'll be able to make a living easily. Otherwise, maybe you need some more funds from Pakistan or something. Okay, so for a US university, the deciding factor is very important. Let's say we choose 3 universities for the discussion. Okay, then you need obviously applications are similarly, you need your biographic information, contact, emergency purposes and stuff. Then comes the important part. You need to have passport. Okay, so this is the time. This is a very lame excuse that I will apply the passport later on. If you're aiming that high, I recommend that you must have the passport at least, because these details are involved in making all of your letters, and if you're getting the admission, it can work out in 1 month, even like it did for me. Okay, then obviously there are motivational letters involved, motivational letter and research plan. So well, everybody must know who are applying for the university that SOP and study objective are two different things. SOP kind of speaks more about our in person, what our personality is, what our achievements are, how we end up where we are, what are we looking forward to, but all in kind of personal capacity. But the research plan or research objective or the study objective is completely speaking about our research and study, what we want to do in our field, what our aims and objectives, what methodology we are looking for. It should have, in other words, we can say it should have more numbers and equations, not the equations of course, but it should be speaking of how much knowledge we have of related to our field. Then is the recommendation letter part. Okay, recommendation letters play a very important role, and let me guide from my own mistakes. We do a lot of stuff with our recommendation letters. I don't want to say anything on record, but we know how we get them and how we submit them. So it's 2020. If we are doing anything messy with our recommendation letter, be sure that they are knowing it. For example, just consider the fact that our email can be tracked, that it's read or it's forwarded, it's deleted. It's as simple. They are sending you a link in the email. I mean, their person is getting that link. If he forwards that link, if that link is open on the same computer the application is, they're knowing this. So these kind of things play a lot of importance. I mean, they are really important to consider, and obviously they know from the language as well. If the language written for the letter of recommendation and motivation letter is same, they are going to know it, because they have been doing this scholarship and admission committees for years. So please take care while getting your recommendation letters, and have 3 people always ready for your letter of recommendations, because these links are lost and then it becomes a problem for you. And for PhDs, there is no other option like 2 recommendation letters, or you request something else. You are always gonna need 3 recommendation letters. So you must know that how are you going to arrange that in a positive way. Okay, then there is okay, let's discuss the publication thing, and then we come to GRE and TOEFL. So publication is of course it's important, I must say. For the bachelor's candidate, I mean the fresh graduates, it's even more important, because see, when a fresh graduate after 16 years of education is applying for PhD, publications show that the candidate is actually committed, and he or she has that potential of doing the research, because PhD is not just studying. It's not just about getting a 3.9 GPA. It's much more. It's much more. So publications show that you are capable of doing that much more. It's really important for the fresh graduates, and it's even more important for the master's candidates. I mean, of course, if you don't have a publication, a good quality publication, the question is raised, what were you doing and if you do not have that capability of doing research, why would they choose you? Because obviously professors take the candidate for their joint research publications, and the publications and the quality of publication. For example, we have publication eventually if we have a master's degree, this is requirement, but all of these are not up to the standards. So if you are looking forward to start your studies in US in 2022, maybe you should also work alongside on your publications and getting a good one by then. Okay, now let's come to the GRE and TOEFL. There is no getting out of GRE and TOEFL. I mean, if you are listening to me and if you have opened this link, taken time out looking for this scholarship, and you want to say, Ma'am Lala, is it possible that I get this scholarship without GRE and TOEFL? I would be like, seriously, you want to go to US for your PhD studies for a fully funded scholarship, even if you don't have to pay the tuition and the application fee, and you're asking me if you can go with GRE and TOEFL? It particularly annoys me Because see, I know, I understand it's expensive, it takes a lot of effort, but man, you're investing in yourself. I took GRE, TOEFL, everything back in 2016. I mean, there was like, I didn't know what I was doing, but I mean, even if I needed that scores by at that time or not, and they were eventually going to expire, but I knew that I have to go to US. I mean, I have to apply for Fulbright. I have to apply for US universities. So this is a passion that you must have, and I mean, consider everything as an investment. For example, once upon a time, a friend told to me that how much do we spend in our shopping and stuff. So always spend on your professional growth. I see GRE and TOEFL scores as a very elementary part, and we must not hesitate in investing our career. So it is very essential, and those of us who have the GRE and TOEFL have to send the official scores to the universities we are going to apply for this scholarship. Okay, yeah, one thing, the questions are welcome in comments. Those who do not want to put their questions in comment, they can always message me. Those who know me in person, they can message me in person on WhatsApp or on Facebook. Even now or even after the session, I am more than happy to help, but you should have that spark that you actually want to apply. And please don't tell me that you can't take GRE and TOEFL and want me to help for it. I'm sorry, I can't. Okay, so we'll talk about the numbers. Okay, so I told you that what amount we are going to get through this scholarship, how much is HEC going to give me, and now we'll discuss in a while that how much we need to give for ourselves in our future. Okay. Okay, so I just made my notes, and when must we start for the application? I must say that now, if I see the applications are in US are almost closed by for the fall 2021. So maybe now, if you apply, you can apply for fall 2021 or spring 2022, because you have to get HEC in coordination as well and get the GRE and TOEFL done. So you can always start applying for the HEC after February, but for HEC for the US universities, I mean, the sooner you start doing it, it's the better for you. Okay, then okay, so just an overview of how much you're gonna need. It's not that big an amount. You need $205 for your GRE if somebody doesn't have it yet, which is, if we take dollar as 160 PKR, it's about 33,000, and then sending in a score to a particular one university is $27, which is close to 5,000 again. TOEFL is $195, which you must have, which is equal to 31,000 something. TOEFL score sending per university is $18, which is 3,000, and 3,000 for each university you apply. Then is the SEVIS ID fee. SEVIS ID fee, the US visa fee, and when you get your letters and documents post here, these are the things you're gonna spend once you've got admission, scholarship, everything. That is in total almost $400 something. Okay, so $400 is a lot amount, but again, you have to spend it and consider you're investing in your future. So when I calculate all of this stuff, it is almost $1,000 something. It's $985 if we assume that we are applying at 3 different universities, and $15 I add as the taxes, because every time you spend for TOEFL, GRE, score sending, SEVIS ID, getting your letters here, or even your visa fee, you're gonna pay the taxes. So it's about $1,000 for, like, a serious $1,000 that you're really going to spend to get this scholarship. There's no other way around, and that is close to 1,60,000. I know it's a lot, but again, that's an investment. Okay, now okay, yeah, apart from that, the bad scenario, which involves a 6 million PKR bond, which we have to sign with HEC. Okay, So I would call it as हाथी के दांत, जो कि दिखाने के और होते हैं और खाने के और होते हैं. Okay, so you are not going to spend this 6 million. You just have to show that you have 6 million. Again, हाथी के दांत. And you have to come in contract with HEC, and the contract says that the contract is about, like, if you collect all the pages, it becomes a 30 pages document, and 30 pages document, each page of this document mentions the conditions that you're bound to pay. And one of the most serious condition is that you cannot breach it on your own. You cannot do anything criminal stuff. You're bound to respond to HEC. You're bound to obey. You are bound to be well mannered. You're bound to report. You're bound to submit yourself everything with the HEC. Whatever you're gonna do, you cannot travel out of the country for 10 years. Okay, 10 years. I mean the 5 years you do the PhD and 5 years afterwards. And if you mess up with any of these things, I mean, even if you do not behave well, you have to return everything to HEC. Okay, so this is it. But obviously we are not going to do that. We are good kids, so we'll have to show a 6 million. 6 million is 60 lakhs. Property, immovable property. From immovable property, we mean that we need to have some real estate stuff and a proper documentation for that. We can just say that we have a 6 million property and submit it for the contracts and bonds. No, we need to have the proper documents, and from proper documents I mean the bare form, form 7 there is like, you have to go court a couple of times, because I went, and it's again, it's very messy to go. Okay, yeah, I just forgot one thing. You must have your documents attested from HEC and IBCC. Okay, so getting documents from HEC these days is much easier. You can just do it online. I mean, you can send it by post and you can get it back. Okay, so these are the things you must have. The documents attested, have GRE, have TOEFL, and then of course the contract comes in. So you need to have the documents for your for your bond. Okay, the property. Okay, then there is the important question involved. There is a question that what if we want to bring our family? So you can totally bring your family. You can bring your dependents. They will get the visa. You can get your husband or wife or your kids. But there are expenses involved, and then there are two kind of expenses involved. One, the expenses you will actually need, and one, then again, hathi ke daant, because see, there is an amount called, I mean, the university you're applying, they're going to add up the scholarship you're getting from the university and the scholarship you're getting from the HEC. So there, for example, you need 100 rupees to be yourself at the US universities for 5 years. Now 50 rupees HEC is giving you, and 50 rupees you're getting from the university. So 50 plus 50, you get 100 and you're good. But if you're bringing a partner, so per partner you're gonna need medical insurance. Okay, so medical insurance is important, because without medical insurance, your husband's or your wife's or your kid's visa is going to expire the right on that day, which you do not have the insurance. So, and insurance is $2,000 per year. Per year or per semester? Yeah, but it's per year. So HEC is going to pay for you, but for your spouse or your kids, you have to pay it on your own. So $2,000 a year. I mean, for 5 years it's $10,000, which you have to actually spend. And then let's say it again varies from state to state, but if you have obviously you have a housing if you're bringing a spouse or kids, but what kind of housing you will have, it will change and it will be expensive. Of course, you cannot stay in the dorms, in hostels, or in the student apartments if you're bringing your family. So the kind of house you will have would would be a burden on you, so you need to be ready for that. And apart from that, for if we add up onto the food and transportation of cost of your spouse, or if you're any other dependent, that is going to be almost $500, because now dollar is obviously, things are becoming expensive, and Pakistani well, rupee is working well, but even though you're gonna get 400 to 500 something dollar for 5 years each month, so if we add up, that is 24,000. So 24,000 for the accommodation expenses, food and stuff, and then there are 34,000 needed for your for your for your spouses or any kids insurance. So that is in total. If I tell you in PKR, that are 54,000, 54 lakhs 40,000 something. Okay, now I understand it's a lot, but again, at this time, you don't actually need to spend that amount. What you have to do, you have to show in your own bank account that you have an amount of, then again, close to 6 million. See, you're not going to spend this amount, you're going to show that you have this amount. Okay, one thing more, just let me, okay, yeah, so you just have to and you can even show it any other person's account, then you'll have to just sign an affidavit. For example, if your mother wants to sponsor you guys, then you can have an affidavit signed from your mother that she will sponsor you, and eventually 1,500, for example, you're getting $1,500 per month from the HEC. It is quite a sufficient amount if you want to make a simple living. I mean, yeah, I applied for my husband as well, and we are going along, but of course, at the beginning, I had to show that much amount in my own bank account, that I have this amount and I'm willing to, and I obviously, and yeah, for him, HEC or anyone is not bound to fund me, and I'm taking him, like I paid for his ID, service ID, his letters, his tickets, his visa, everything. So if you want to take your family, that is going to be really expensive, but I understand for us girls it's kind of very important. So if you can afford it, there's no one who does not allow you for that, but all the expenses are your own burden. Okay, so now let's come to the question. I have a question, where from we get this acceptance ratio of, okay, it's very simple. You can just write it on any website. There is a website, maybe I'll share it you, letter Marvi, but yeah, you can always come to me in person, and we can discuss it, what universities are best for your program. But again, I would recommend that you start with the HEC application first, because then HEC will tell you themselves that what universities are best for you, and they will support you in what university, so it will be easier for you to get it done. Okay, so is it a fully funded or partial? It's a fully funded scholarship after you go there. Before going there, you have to do everything yourself, and from everything I just mean the TOEFL, GRE sending scores, TOEFL sending scores, your visa fee. Yeah, visa fee is on your own, which should be done by the sponsor, but I'm thankful for whatever I have. Okay, the other question is there any issue if we have big gap in studies? And no, it's really not an issue. I didn't have any gap, or the other people I know didn't have a big gap, and the person who is asking this question you do not have a very big gap, and you have quite a profile and quite an experience, so the big gap doesn't really matter unless you're 35. So yeah, I know you are not 35, and you can apply it, get the scholarship as until you are 35. Okay, people get it done by their own. I personally have experiences for recommendation letter, but the fact is our teachers are never serious. Okay, yeah, I also admit that our teachers well, I know, but I have personally experienced this stuff. I mean, at US universities, but European universities in particular, because when I was applying for this scholarship and other scholarships, and Alhamdulillah, I feel like I have a good profile, but I was not ending up at some of the scholarships, and when I was asking the reasons, and they told me very clearly that your recommendation letters are not only just bad, but they're sent in a wrong manner. So now I take really a lot of care when I'm arranging my letter of recommendation. Well, now I've ended up to 3 professors from my universities, which are who are really kind. I mean, they have sent like hundreds of letters for me, and each time they ask me, like before this scholarship, and every time they say, when is your last letter gonna be? And every time I say, please pray for me that this is last letter and I don't need any more. So I know it is a very daunting task. We need to do a lot and sometimes go in person for the letter of recommendation, but please get it done from their own PC, their own IP address, their own Wi-Fi. Don't The same IP address, the same computer, same Wi-Fi should not be used for the application and the letter of recommendation. Okay, HEC, IBCC, any other we should have before application ready? No. There are just 2 attestations. Your bachelor's and your master's degrees should be attested by HEC, and no need to get your board documents attested from HEC. You need only your board documents attested from the board itself, and then from the IBCC, which I initially thought would be a very difficult task. I did that in 2019, but it was really not. HEC was quite supportive, and even then I had to get a photocopies attested, I remember, and I had not signed up for getting my photocopies attested on that day, because getting that you need an actual appointment, and you need to pay in person. But HEC officials really helped me a lot. This is a different thing that I had to wait for 3 hours that day, because it was my mistake. I wanted another set of documents attested, but they helped me in person. And to be very honest, I'm really grateful that this process was not as difficult for me as it sounds, and which is why I really motivate everyone to apply for this scholarship, especially the people who are watching me live. I know in person they are completely capable of getting admissions in the scholarships. I just see it as an investment of 1.5 lakh. 1.5 lakh if you're beginning from scratch, but bear in mind your GRE and TOEFL is not going anywhere for 2 years. You can always reuse them at applying at any more scholarships. See what you're getting. It's really amazing. You don't have to pay for anything else. I mean, 1.5 lakh is fine, and 1.5 lakh involving all the expenses. So that's it. We are done with the questions, and I'm really glad I did this. Okay, so more questions are involved. Are welcome. I hope this will go recorded. I'll share it on our profile, and thank you so much.